Okay, so we're moving on to the next step of our training sessions here for the new critical prior learning workflow process. And this is sort of what's going to happen after you hit the submit button. And sort of, I'm going to step you through actually evaluating one of the items when it comes back to you for evaluation. Remember, we're doing this because you will not necessarily be, as a departmental reviewer, you may not necessarily always be the person submitting documents for approval, right? That may be happening by advisors or other people, but you will be the one validating and actually granting the credit. So it's important that you know what the evaluation process is going to look like. So I have something mocked up here that I'm going to kind of step you through. So I've sort of filled out a test um, document for a student. This isn't going anywhere. And over here we see the sort of the workflow that it's going to go through, so we can kind of see what the process is. You'll notice that it's going to come this direction. It's going to um, stop with me just for a moment, just so I can kind of check to see what people are doing and fix any kind of problems in terms of filling the form out. That's going to be a temporary thing. This will go away here pretty quick, just as we're kind of getting it going. Then it's going to fly out to, depending on what degree that you pick here, it's going to fly out to whoever the departmental approver is. Now, when we did the departmental approvers, what this means is we built 1 to 2 people, and mostly 2 people per department. And so they will both get a notice saying, hey, there's something to approve, and you guys can work it out within your departments who's doing what. I figured it's better to have some backup, just in case someone's on vacation or someone's busy, that we can kind of keep the credit flowing. So either one of the departmental approvers will be able to approve this document. And I think we've had meetings with just about every department to identify who those people are, and there'll be a list on the CPL site. So this is what this is. It flies out to who the departmental approver is for that degree program, and that's all predicated on what degree is picked here. It's not built on what the degree is here, right? Because clearly, if their degree plan may not be correct when we're sending something through, but just as a note, if their degree plan here is different than what's being picked here, I would probably send in a degree plan change to make sure that those two things match. Okay, so that way the registrar's office will get their degrees in sync if they're not already in sync. Okay, so let's see, and then we'll come out to the IDP committee. We'll talk more about this. We're only really looking for making sure that the conversion numbers are correct. So if you tell me that the student had 15 hours of training, that we're only giving them 1 hour credit for it. So we're just looking at the mechanics of it. The actual relevancy of the content to the degree program is a departmental decision, and so that's what the department's doing. We're making sure that you as a department are comporting with our transfer, our basically our standards for how much credit we're giving, to make sure that we stay in alignment with national standards and also Department of Education standards. So that's what we're doing there. This is going to be a much smaller group, and then it goes to the registrar's office, and they'll post it, and then you will get, or who you will get, or as the person who built the document, something saying, hey, it's done. So you'll get a notice saying it's been posted by the registrar's office, and so will the student. Okay, so let's go through here, and we'll show you how this works. So I'm going to hit submit on this, and again, this is a test, so it's not going anywhere. And the first thing that's going to happen is I'll get a little form saying, hey, something's been submitted. Then I will then saying, take a look at the task. So I will have to log in and take a look. And what I'm looking at here is making sure that if you're asking for military training, okay, there's semester credit hours. Is there supporting documentation attached? In this case, there's not. If there was, if there's not, I'm probably going to send this back to the creator and saying, hey, you need to have documentation attached, or else this thing isn't going to go forward. So I'm looking for things like this, okay? Do you have credit hours attached to your training? Do you have credit hours attached to your Wickham? Do you have the right numbers? Do you have Wickham, prefixes and course numbers? I'm making sure that the form's filled out right. That's really just about it. Okay? So when I say, okay, my part's complete, then it's going to now go to, in this case, Bridget Barbier. She won the lottery, and she'll get a notice saying, okay, fine, and we can begin the review for Bridget, and she will get to look at all of this, which means she can look at the supporting documentation that hopefully by this time has been attached, and she can look at the requested amount that the people are requesting. And she can do one of two things. If she agrees with this, then she can say she can approve it. And that's all she has to do, is simply just approve it. If she agrees with the request, looks at the documentation, it's relevant, then she can approve it. If she doesn't agree with the request, if she thinks that you're giving too little or too much credit, then she can approve it with adjustments. And what the adjustments is she can amend how much Wickham credit or how much training credit that we're providing, and she can provide a justification in here. So the actual documents and the information is still sitting up there, but we're going to amend that based on something that we've observed, and that this will then become the new request going forward. Okay? So normally this is going to be an approve. And notice that until you do the approve with amendments, right, this shows up. When you click off of it, that doesn't show up. So as long as it's approved and then it goes forward, if not, if you want to amend it, you can do this, and you can add or subtract the total number of credits you're giving in these two categories, Wickham classes or training credits. Okay, I'm going to just approve it and move forward. Okay, so then the route's complete. Now the CPL committee gets it, and I think right now we've got Ashley Tolliver, Nancy Turner, and myself, but we'll have other people on this roll. We're gonna vote on something, so we can say we'll begin the review, and we can then take a look at the entire document, not only what was submitted. We can also look at what was amended. I can then make any kind of comments I want. I can't change the credit because clearly that's not what we do, but we can say we approve it, or we can send it back to the department and say, hey, we have a problem with this. So if we approve it, this thing works off of a committee vote, so we'll have to have X amount of approvers. I think we're at something like 50%. Of the approvers have to say yes, and it goes forward. This is a pretty small group. Like I said, we're still working through who's going to be on this piece of it, but I suspect we're going to have a much smaller group that's on the IDP committee, and we'll talk about that this next go around. So I'm going to approve it. Then it goes to Alex, and Alex then gets to look at the credit, put in whatever comments she wants, and when she has posted the credit, then she can mark it as complete. After which, it will go out to whoever created it, will get an email saying, hey, it's been done. You can check in DegreeWorks. And then it'll send something to the students saying, hey, your credit's been approved. And away we go. And then we'll just say next. And that is a complete workflow. Okay? So the key points to take away here are, first, your role in the department is to make sure the applicability of the credit for your degree, right? Is this credit relevant towards your degree? So that's what you're laying eyes on. Everything that we're going to call a workforce class or a military class will be used as military or workforce in the credit section. That credit's defined by it coming in the door from another accredited institution. Training hours we're converting at 15 contact hours equals 1 special credit hour. right? So we're going to have documentation of the training and who's training, who's been to training, and how much training they've had, and all that documentation is going to follow along with the actual request. So just realize that when it comes to workforce and military courses, that transfer services is handling all that to make sure that we have proper documentation to accept that. So those we won't need to have transcripts for those. For training, we will have to have documentation of training and who's providing it and how much of it. So that way you can evaluate what's being requested versus what the documentation is that the student has provided to make sure that that training actually happened in a way that proves the number of hours and is relevant to the field. Okay? That is really what you're focused on as a departmental approver. All right. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to play it back. Thank you very much. Bye.